Nā, me ua ka whakapono ake, tērā ngā whare o Hapani me o tautahi matapopore, te whakatūria anō, whai muri ho i te aneatanga aru au moko. Engari, ki te titiro koe ki te hapori o ahuriri, me tōna whakahau manu ake i te puehu, kei reira ke pēr te tauira ai marika kataia. Ko te mea ko ngī ke e mōhiotia whānui tiana a ahuriri i naianei, mo te atāhua o ōna whare. He tohu pēr aua whare rere hua ki ēra i mate i te rūwhenua, me ēra hoki i morihu mai. E iwa ngā tau o John Southern i te wā o te parekura a tai au tino kino o Aotearoa i te matau a Māui i te tau ko tahimano i warau toru te kaumātahi.
Do you remember a lot of these buildings?
I remember a lot of them being built. That's where the Napier RSA is there. That used to be where the Hastings Street School was.
And you lived down the street?
It's just past these motels. There's a group of houses there, all pre-earthquake houses along this little group.
Now, I imagine the landscape has changed somewhat since 1931.
The hillside itself is pretty much the same as it used to be. All the wooden houses still stood. A lot of them come off the foundations. The floors were sort of up and down a bit. But it was only down in the town where the concrete buildings were that they had the devastation.
Ki tā te mi iniru wenua e witu irakati e waru te kā o te rū. Nā ko nai parekura katoa I te roe wānui o te matau a Māui.
The fire started, I think it started in the camera shop and went right through the district, and the smoke apparently killed quite a few people. Everything underneath you was moving. You had nothing solid to stand on. Coming across the playground of the school, it was about 2 or 3 feet high, like waves on the sea. And this was an asphalt playground.
You crossed the playground and you made your way home?
Yep. And all the rest of the family started to come home. And we packed up and we went up on the hill. We were quite concerned there was going to be a tidal wave. We got reports that the sea had just gone right out, and worried about what would happen when it came back in. It never did come back in. So we played for safety and we headed up on the hill.
Mō ngā wiki e ono wai muri mai, ko tētei urupā kairunga I tēnei maunga te kāinga rua mō ngā moreu, pērā ia John rātai ko tōna kuia, ko ōna matua keke waine oki. It's hard to believe this used to be the main street.
Yeah.
It's a good climb.
Yeah, they used to come up here with a horse and cart. 3 horses.
Where did you put your tents up?
Would have been on the walkway in. They were quite different with all the tents up.
So it looked more like Tent City than in Urupā?
Yes. We used to take off and go and explore all around the district. Didn't take us long to find out where every fruit tree on the hill was. But a 9-year-old, my job was to go out and use the fishing line.
Nā ngā waine me ngā tamariki te mai wāngai tiaki oki I ngā wānau wānui. Ai, riro mā ngā tāne te mai waka tua no I ngā ware o te taone.
Men were not allowed to leave the city. They had to stay in the area and help repair roads and buildings, and it was absolutely necessary that that work was done. It wasn't got to do itself. So I had 2 uncles that were carpenters. And they each had a gang of men working with them. And they built Tin Town, around Clive Square.
How were people feeling after the earthquake, do you remember? Did they want to leave?
I think there was a lot of confusion. And it's not just a matter of leaving. To leave, you had to have somewhere to go, and you had to be able to get there. The roads were virtually impassable. You couldn't have driven out of Napier. All the roads were, it was impossible to take a vehicle over them. And horse and cart, but tricky too. You couldn't put a horse over some of those cracks.
I ka John ki te taka i ngā uarai mai te matau a Maui te kāinga o tōna kuia ki tōna papakainga ki o tautai ki te kite i ona mātua. Tūturu e wakaro māro ona mo te wakatūtū ware anō ki o tautai wai muri mai I te ru wenua.
I can remember as a boy down in Christchurch, there were sandhills. And nobody in the right mind would build a house on a sandhill, because you can't put down foundations. That's where most of those suburbs were, over in the east of Christchurch. I hope they don't make the mistake and try building there again. They're a pretty self-reliant bunch down there, and they're not going to give up. And I think you'll probably find that before long that a lot of the people, even in the worst hit areas, don't want to be made to leave. They want to stay, because that's where they belong.